What sets Space Waves apart from other teen flicks? Where do I begin?
I had absolutely no idea what I was in for.
All I knew was it's a feature film.
The main crew was 7 to 8 people max.
It's basically like one person per department.
Even going into production, I wasn't positive if we had enough money.
$10,000 of other people's money is not a learning experience, okay?
I'll snap to that.
You snap to that? Like, we have a big responsibility to make something amazing. Let's do it.
It was clear that everyone was excited to be there.
There was definitely some high moments, but there was a lot of low moments.
It could have been scheduled a lot better.
There were so many things that changed last minute.
Like, to be honest, we weren't sure how Space Waves was gonna go.
What?
Who wants some strawberries?
Sets take on a whole new light when you haven't slept for a while.
Anything can go down.
We literally pushed the car around 9 or 10 scenes.
Oh yes, you did it!
The crew's like, no, we're out of tape on the camcorder or whatever. We gotta switch out a VHS tape.
We have one more shot to do this.
Full throttle the whole time.
It's never going to be easy.
Look, we can't give in to the frustration.
Take things up to beast mode. You know what? We're not gonna settle. We're gonna finish this movie. Whatever it takes. So back in high school, there was this place called Space, and it was this abandoned radio tower that we found in our hometown. It felt completely like a movie, and I remember just being up there and kind of dreaming and being like, this would be cool to make a movie centered around this tower someday.
I first heard about Space Waves from Spencer. We were in a summer class together between my freshman and sophomore year. When we first met, I didn't think we would be friends. But as soon as we started talking about film and this story, we became so close so fast, and we spent every day together.
I wasn't a screenwriter at the time. The longest script I'd written was about 9 pages.
At the time, all the story was these guys on this tower.
And then he's saying, well, why would they be sitting up there to record it? I'm telling him, it's about the experience, man, which, you know, goes in the movie.
I still think we can get a better recording somewhere else, though. Space is just windy, you know?
Yeah, but it's not about that. It's about the experience.
He knew a lot of the one-liners he wanted before we knew much about this story.
Never speak in absolutes.
Let's butter this bimbo.
He's like a wild gazelle in the wild.
So when I was in high school, I had this best friend, and me and him would always make skate videos together, and we would just hang out and do life together like 24/7. We just really had like a pretty bad falling out and grew up and kind of went separate ways. But I really wanted to explore that transition, that life transition of growing up and how it's kind of messy and you're never really ready for it.
Everything was in his notes app on his phone, and he would scroll for years just to get to like anything. And I said, let's just get some butcher paper. When I look back on that moment, I think that's where things really started to move.
The other tough part about wanting to make a feature as a student is no one believes in you.
That's kind of how it is in film school. Like, if you're making a feature, then you must not understand how hard it is.
Everybody's telling you, don't do a feature, don't do it, just do a short film, you know, be safe. Hope that you can pitch that to a production company and then one day you'll get to make a feature maybe when you're like 40. And I'm saying, screw that, I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna go make a feature.
Which we did.
Oh, Space Waves! Space Waves! Space Waves! Space Waves!
I think I was really attracted to the idea of making something now that I would later wish in my career that I had the opportunity to make.
He says, I'm freaking in, baby. And I said, all right, let's do this, dude. Let's do it.
Yeah, I didn't sleep well that night.
Working with Spencer was good. He is a very collectively minded person, so he's thinking about a lot of things at once. It was definitely a learning curve for me, trying to figure out either like where he was going with all of his thinking, because he's thinking about 100 things at one time.
So I didn't think she was cute, okay? Like that cute. We gotta just heighten it up a little bit.
Oh, were you gonna punch me in the face? It would make sense if she was like somebody from the future sent back. Correlation theory, it's a theoretical fact.
Growing up with Spencer as my younger brother was kind of like just living the story the whole time.
I'm glad you guys got my good side. He's a moneymaker. I've known Spencer for a long time, since we were both really young. We used to push each other on swings and stuff. So it's been like 2 years.
Not together! That looks so awkward.
No, it's been since when? 3rd grade or something? He just wrote me into it. Told me it was gonna be awesome. Lots of deathcore. And I'm all about that.
Last time I was in mosh pit, I wound up getting E. coli. It could have been the Chipotle.
There's a couple of the stories that are drawn from my personal life.
This is steamy hot, boiling lava water that's coming in and it's spraying us in the face and it's filling up my car.
Of course, you know, some of the deep talks that we did. And Samson, he's drawn after this crazy guy that I ran into that tried to strangle me, and I strangled him back. And so it's like 2 guys strangling each other. Pretty wild.
Stress! Hey! Take it easy, brother.
What's the problem? All I was gonna do was just go for the,
Whoa! You hit that now!
Well, we gotta get the car out so we can finally go to the location scouting for space waves.
We're gonna try and get Marvin's home exterior. So we're gonna go up to these people's houses and see if they're down to let us film. Come to Papa.
Come to Papa.
In my eye.
I got glasses, dude. I'm ready for this.
I think this is really perfect for shooting Marvin and Sawyer in the car.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew's not convinced. Andrew's not convinced.
What do you mean I'm not convinced? I love it.
So yeah, when Spencer brought the crew up to NorCal to do some location scouting, I was able to be the guide because I know all about NorCal. I'm a native.
Hey, Gandalf!
You know, we toured, took a look at all the sweet locaysh.
I think this actually looks pretty tight, except for that little snowbank right there.
We found some like interesting artifacts. Like over here on the right we have such and such tunnel, and over here on the left we have a soiled pair of white underwear.
Oh! Victory!
No, we surrender!
And I was waving it in people's faces, and they're like, I hate NorCal. This is what it's all about, man.
We also saw space for the first time in Grass Valley. That was one of the first times that I could really start to see the project coming alive.
So once upon a time, I did this film called Last Summer. This really tall, emo-looking guy comes up to me. And he's like, yo, you really connected with that like take right there. You kind of reminded me about this character I'm writing in this feature film I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah? He's like, yeah, it's called Space Waves. At the time, I was like, he's not gonna actually ask me, like he's gonna forget, you know? And sure enough, the audition comes around about 2 months later, being like, hey, this is the Joey's audition. Read for it. Hey, couldn't we get a better quality recording like somewhere else? Somewhere like, I don't know, inside? Okay, space is windy. When is the climax of that movie?
Sometime before our first location scout, I met Matt Walker.
Spencer casted him because he was one of his good friends, and he told him, like, I can see you as this character.
That lid is open! Get it! Oh! I'm so not far!
Riddle me this, Jill. Where else are you gonna find romance, nostalgia, danger, and destruction all in one singular podcast? You would have to be out of your gourd to not want to...
Don't take my chain!
As time went on, people's school schedules got busy, work schedules got busy. Sorry, man, I would help more, but I've got so much I gotta do.
Hey, you know, I'm really, and I'm just like, just save it, dude. Psh, save the phone, Bill. That's like when a girl calls you and says, we need to talk. It's like, okay, I think we've already talked enough.
Everything fell on me. I was the producer, the first AD, and pretty much the UPM. But it just made the connection between me, Spencer, Connor, Tiffany really strong in pre-pro. Because we knew, like, if all of our other crew fades away, the four of us have got each other. The four of us are not going anywhere.
You need to have a unified team, unified in vision, but also just in passion. Because if your team's not unified in that, they're not passionate about what you're doing, or they're not constantly encouraging one another, then you're gonna fall apart.
Spencer told me, hey, things with Matt aren't looking too good.
The lead dropping.
Our vision of Space Waves had Matt Walker on the poster.
Go, go, go! I'm foot breaking!
And we had begun our crowdfunding campaign just a couple days before.
Space Waves Film, follow us on Instagram.
Who in their right mind gives money to a movie that just lost their lead actor?
We're talking about Space Waves right now. Like, where can I donate? Oh, sweet! Right there. Dude. I knew there was gonna be one somewhere.
We basically covered it up.
We're just gonna continue as planned and not tell anyone.
So we had to go on pretending we still have our lead. You can't see it, but our campaign right here says $970 raised out of 5,000. Fundraising, baby. Oh boy.
It's only 8 a.m. and it feels like we've been here for 6 hours already.
I'm just gonna show you around the garage sale. This is one of my favorite books. Let me open it. Oh, it's not actually my favorite book because it's my favorite cassette. Sorry, hang on, I'm getting a phone call.
Shiny.
Hello? Mr. Spielberg.
How did you get that?
I don't know, it was just in there.
What do you mean it was just in there?
The main reason we got the money is because of this prayer group that just prayed over us consistently on schedule every single week. And it was my parents, Spencer's parents, Connor's parents. And so for week after week after week, they just pray that, you know, money will find its way to us.
My buddy Rudy Ponco had called me one day and he was like, do you have any interest in taping for it? And I was like, yeah, of course, man, I'll send it over.
Or cheek, or anything for that matter. Why does this matter? Cut the chatter.
And I get a phone call from Spencer saying like, yo, dude, Drew is like killing it.
Drew comes in and he's just this breath of fresh air.
Meant to me? What about you? You act like this means nothing to you. Dude, when are you gonna realize it's over? Okay? Space Waves is a dead end. That's not true and you know it!
Like he completely killed it.
Called me back in like 10 days or something and asked for me to be a part of the film and go up with him to Grass Valley.
Dude, we're about to make a project together. Like, this is stoked.
Feel it! Yeah, I can feel it too! Got my journalism internship going on this week? Woo!
I loved the idea behind it. I loved the name of it, first off. That's what really like grabbed my attention. Yeah, I saw it was a feature film and I had never done one before, and I kind of read the story of my character, Sawyer. And they were like, okay, great, like, are you available these dates? We'd be shooting in NorCal, and they just seemed so excited about the project, and that really made me so excited. And yeah, then the magic happened.
High five to you.
So there's this month in between school ending and principal photography starting, and there are a lot of things that went wrong during that month. One of them is losing our actor for Duke.
What up, you guys? My name is Duke Skylander.
He gave me a call. He's like, yo, dude, I'm not sure about this Space Waves thing. Literally 10 days before production. It's kind of the killer for like indie stuff, honestly. And you can't offer your actors a lot of money. It's very much is like, I don't know if I can do it because it is a lot of time. But then Tyson came to town.
All right, here we go. Let the Leviathan out. Ready? That is deathcore, you know what I mean?
That's kind of the theme of Space Waves, honestly, is that when something doesn't work out, we find something better.
We finally have footage that's gonna rail people, you know? Like, take the 90-foot crane jump.
There's no way I'm letting that clip stay locked away, right? It's just like, shh. Mind blown.
It was really easy to kind of be Duke, which I don't know what that says about me. Like a slightly dumber version of myself.
He's unconscious, though. Oh, you guys drugged him? Dude, bold move.
He's asleep, Duke.
Right. He's just excitable, like a dog. So that was the other thing. I was like, yeah, cool, we're filming in like 2 weeks. So I was like, yeah, I'll get this. I'll have this memorized. Yeah, no worries. So, but it made it work. It worked.
All right, let's just rewind for a minute, okay? Just give them some context.
Marvin and Joey are on a mission to have the #1 podcast spot on iTunes.
They are just telling their stories of their lives, what things they get into, the experiences that they see.
Let's go! Let's go! Yes!
You would think that adds to their friendship and their success and brings them closer together, but what actually happens is that it causes a strain on their relationship.
Joey's seeing more of a picture of him focusing on a career of his own.
The magazine wants a column a week.
I think this is very much something that I think every kid goes through. A friend just is like, yo, we're not on the same paths, man.
It made me think a lot about the relationships that I have with people and the relationships that I no longer have.
It's not a good or bad thing that people necessarily grow apart just because that's how life works. It's just a thing that happens, and it's just something you gotta realize, and you can't let it hold you down.
So it's the night before principal photography. I'm thinking to myself, all right, let's assess our crew. Let's see what we've got.
There was supposed to be about a total of 21 people on Space Waves, and there was only about 8 or 9 core people that ended up showing up for the summer.
No first AD, no second AD. We have no second AC. We have no grips, no electricians, nobody to help Tiffany. So she's all of art department. No wardrobe, no makeup.
Tiffany, where's all your helpers? Where's all your helpers?
No DIT, so we're gonna have to take turns offloading footage. We have no one on Crafty. I hadn't figured out yet when we were gonna make time to cook all our meals. That's bad, I just knew, okay, we're gonna have to rotate somehow. Even going into production, I wasn't positive if we had enough money.
So many moving pieces and all this stuff, trying to figure it out.
Like, to be honest, we weren't sure how Space Waves was gonna go.
Marvin,
Huh? What?
I said I want to show you a band.
It's so funny to think about day one because it all felt like we already knew each other. We were already a team and we already formed relationships with people that we had just met like days prior.
Okay, here we go, day 1 of Space Waves, woo! We're gonna do some drone shots, and it only involves 3 people, so everyone else is sitting around for like 3 hours, and it's like, just kind of lame.
So the rest of us are just kind of chilling. I'm kind of getting to know Taylor because I don't know him that well.
No one really knew what to expect from Taylor because no one knew him, including myself. I barely knew him.
I had absolutely no idea what I was in for. I knew that it was going to be kind of like a small budget, but I didn't realize that it was this college film.
It was the first time I'd ever been in a setting like that, where there was just a bunch of people I had never met before. But it seemed like everyone was on the same playing field and everyone was coming together.
But even right before that, we're trying to have our first team meeting, and I'm like, okay, like, this is big, you know, let's do this. $10,000 of other people's money is not a learning experience, okay? Like, this is...
I'll snap to that.
You snap to that? Like, we have a big responsibility to, like, make something amazing. It's that movie that people are gonna look back on and be like, whoa, you were a part of that tiny crew that made that insane indie movie that just took off and made millions? No. But, like... And then this lady comes out of the hay and feed barn store. She's like, is that y'all's cars? Is that y'all's cars?
We couldn't even have a meeting for 5 minutes without her going crazy.
She basically just goes, we quote verbatim, let me tell you, this is gonna be a bloodbath. If people can't get to my hay and feed store right now, I don't even wanna go there. Like, you guys just need to leave. You need to go.
That set a precedent. Within a couple minutes of principal photography, we're getting kicked out of places. That was gonna happen a lot.
But that was one of, I think, maybe the first inside joke that it was gonna be a bloodbath.
And I say, that's enough, Duke, that's enough! It was a bloodbath.
The graveyard for the sound department was a total disaster.
Would you rather have someone cover your mouth abruptly and force you to stop talking, or to slowly shush you out?
Okay, question.
We had gotten 2 sets of lavalier microphones, and neither of them worked. So we learned really early, dang, we're gonna have to just boom a lot of stuff.
There's an Air Force base nearby, and we knew that the planes are not going away anytime soon, so we would try and do takes in between the jets that were flying by.
The other thing is we were missing the IDX batteries, which allows our wireless follow focus and wireless monitor to be powered from the camera.
It was actually a really big issue because we had 2 extremely complicated one takes.
Sound?
How are you doing?
I'm alive, dude.
We kept getting it super close, or somebody would say something wrong, or it would be like the camera would bump something, or every take there was one little thing that was a little bit off. And, you know, next thing you know, it's about to close down for the day, and we're like, all right, like, we have one more shot to do this.
And we ended up doing it, which was impressive, and that was a feat in itself.
Yo, you guys just killed it, dude.
I was making a sandwich today, and I thought of you.
Why?
Because you're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Andy was destroying my house the first time I met her. She was saying this one line, she said it over and over, and she slammed the door like 1,000 times.
Yeah, Mom, I got it!
And stuff was falling off of my walls. That was like a great first impression.
Oh! There it is. There it is. Dude, look at these future celebrities right here.
That is also the day that the 35mm got stuck on the red.
And it was like a half hour of trying to get the lens off, and they couldn't get it off.
Everybody was trying to muscle it off, and I was like, all right, guys, step aside. And I brought up a vice grip.
I'm just kind of like dying inside, but what if that's the only thing we can do?
It looked like Luke Reed was delivering a child.
Don't take BCS of this.
Why?
Yeah, I remember like...
Connor was sitting in the other room, looking the other way.
And it was dead quiet.
I think it's... No, I think it's...
Wait,
Oh yeah, we're good.
I think I got to tell Hype Speech that morning. I think I told about me and Taylor getting lost. Taylor really enjoys that story because he's like, yeah, I didn't really know Connor, but that's one way to get to know someone is get lost with them in Grass Valley.
Spencer was very adamant about hype speeches.
The hype speeches were, I feel like, the epitome of Space Waves.
Everybody was required to do a hype speech.
It went from being a fun, cool idea to like a necessity.
Space Wave! Space Wave! Space Wave!
Because if you don't have that goal and you're not thinking constantly about why you're doing this film, you're not going to stick with it because the what of making the film is so hard.
Today is going to be wild. It's going to be insane.
In a good way. We were doing this scene where I shoot silly string out the window at a passerby.
And within a couple hours of starting shooting on day 2, our beautiful picture vehicle died.
Do we need to get more to it?
It looks like it's leaking, to be honest.
That was probably one of the bigger hurdles because we have an entire film to shoot, and this Mustang is a big piece of the film.
We needed to shoot with that car for 9 more days, spread throughout production.
We were like, what are we going to do next?
We had the chronological scene schedule, and we were looking through, okay, which ones of these have Marvin's car in them? And we're evaluating options.
Well, keep them highlighted because use a different color.
Are we going to have to like reshoot? Are we going to have to change the script? Are we going to have to try to rush speed along the repairs and reschedule the whole week?
Luckily, we got a lot of the shots done yesterday that we needed a moving car, like drone shots and stuff.
We came up with a plan of many movie magic tricks, which mostly just involve pushing a car.
Shut up, Connor.
It was like one of those situations where it's like, you can't help but laugh. This is like, what else can you do?
We had worked out renting a tow dolly for my truck, and I'd tow the Mustang everywhere.
It's another long drive to the location, which we dubbed Hilltop.
And the road that leads you there is very tiny.
And we get to the bottom and it's just like, there's nowhere to turn around.
And we're trying to turn around and it starts to jackknife.
We ended up having to take the car off.
But then we realized the three of us alone can't push it back onto the trailer.
We tried multiple times, we couldn't do it.
I have this awesome memory of getting the call, hey, we're stuck at the bottom. We need help pushing the car up. And so, but we just start running down the hill.
And there's Spencer and Tiffany and Andy and Kelly.
Pretty much the whole cast and crew.
There's Drew, like our star actor with his shirt off, like pushing this car.
It's kind of like a fulfilling moment when we finally got it up because it was like 90 degrees in the middle of summer.
Oh yes, you did it, stop!
Sawyer.
That was our first really tough scene.
Which involved a moving car, which we don't have a moving car, on a well-lit street, which we also didn't have. So we used a parking lot to fake a well-lit street.
It was pretty difficult having these large setups with only a couple pair of hands.
I'm like, are we ready to go? Because my actors are ready to go, like they're in the zone.
And for one of the first times, Connor was just stumped. And he's an awesome DP with so many ideas, but he just wasn't sure how to light this scene.
We kept having issues with the people who were pushing the car being in the shot.
We're doing reset, like every time something was off.
And we couldn't wear shoes because you could hear our footsteps. And so we were in our socks on the asphalt with the little tiny asphalt pebbles. And then Spencer would say, "Cut, I can still see you." And we're like, well, move the camera.
We had done 9 or 10 takes of that shot.
Marvin was behind her. He was really eclipsed by her a lot of the shot. And Andrew's like, okay, we're not gonna do it again for minor problems like that. And then me and him are having an argument.
I shouldn't have been pressuring Spencer as much to just be okay with it. That's not my call. That's the director's call. But I was looking at the crew, and what I saw from the crew was like defeat, right? For the first time, I saw the crew defeat.
Spencer's like, we gotta do another one. And Andrew's like, Spencer, it's 3 a.m. People are tired. They need to go to bed. We have to end this now.
It was rough. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck because of how sore I was just pushing the car.
So we end on this really, really low note.
Everyone's like dead tired and we're trying to pack up. And then Andrew, Connor, and I had this meeting and we're like, okay, what happened?
I called out Connor for becoming less responsive. And I took some blame for like trying to end a shot when it's not my call. It was a pretty serious moment. And from then we realized that we were not going to have the sort of principal photography that we were expecting.
Gotta be honest, it really wasn't that good when Bieber took over.
My first day off, I slept until after lunch.
As much as I knew things were falling apart, we were making a film, you know?
Hey, you got it. We had Josh Dozier, Alex, Dodge, Rudy, and Tyson. They all joined us.
Everyone is like barely waking up. The hair was all over the place. And it was one of those meetings where it's like, hey, I'm Tyson. They're like, yeah, cool. We'll talk to you later. And I was like, yeah, no, I get it, yeah.
Hairy homeless dude that like...
I was on set for about a week. And I was working as the DIT, basically just making sure all the footage is backed up on hard drives. I got to set up a little bit more of a system so that we could keep track of it better and I'd be able to edit it a little bit more smoothly.
Take that, Rubaroo.
Hey, there's 2 of us. Spencer's house became like base camp.
We would get back to base camp at the White's house and I would honestly just crash on the couch.
Nap on the floor. It became like home.
Felt really nostalgic in a way, just hanging out with your friends and kind of like took us out of the stress realm of making a movie.
I was filming you, bro.
I didn't know that.
Of all the reinforcements that came, I was by far looking forward to Dodge coming the most because I was slowly losing my mind.
So after around 4 hours of driving, I showed up to base camp and I saw Andrew and he was like, hey, what's up?
And I'm like slowly guiding her to the kitchen table as we're like talking for the first time in like months.
He was like, do you think you could do me a favor and help me out on a couple of things?
And she had been in the house for maybe 2 minutes, and she was like, yeah, I think I'll just like put my stuff down. I was like, oh yeah, let me show you where you're staying. But, you know, she went and put her stuff down, and then she was just awesome. She just sat there, and I, you know, in my like frantic state, I was like, all right, this is the spreadsheet for all the money. It's like totally organized. I don't know if you can understand it. Oh, let's not talk about this right now. All right, let's do this. And so I'm just showing her like everything that she needs to know in like 30 minutes. But she just soaked it in, and immediately she like whipped out her laptop and then like starts typing notes. I was like, yes.
And yeah, let's have a good day on set today. Keep the energy up.
Yep. It was basically the first checkpoint that we had for that set. We were all like, okay, we got through the first week, let's do these next two.
This was when I gave my first beast mode speech.
I found this quote that I really liked, that telling Spencer that everyone wants to be a beast until it comes time to do what a beast has to do.
As soon as we think something is too hard, we all lose. Instead of like, dang, you know, something's gonna go wrong. It's like, you know, bring it. You know, we just had this bring it attitude, and it was so cool because everybody was on board for that.
We're microscopic, but we're like kicking butt. So we're gonna keep doing what beasts do.
And the microscopic organisms are the ones that kill it, dude.
I get set. Ready! And I'm like, oh, that's Spence.
Dude. What's up, bro?
And I see Andy for the first time. I see Tyson for the first time. And then all of a sudden, I hear Drew's like, oh! And he just sprints at me.
That was more than I was expecting.
That's okay, though.
I missed you so much.
Your mom's bro.
The first scene that we shot in Duke's room was with the Christmas lights as the backdrop.
That was a very fun scene to shoot. I got to introduce my gaffer to a light meter, and so that was really sick.
This was actually shot in Spencer's room that he grew up in. So we basically emptied everything out of it and then made it into Duke's room.
I gotta give props to Tiffany for that because she pretty much had the entire design for that room laid out. And it was a super cool environment, and I think it really kind of portrayed the kind of guy that Duke was, with the lights, with the different posters that he has in there.
What about when you took things up a notch and you started hand-holding, interdigitated?
This is for all you jokers out there that do not show the proper appreciation for nature.
All right, Andrew, got an idea for you.
What's up?
Anyway, we're gonna do a bucket brigade to fill up the truck down there because NID water is right down there.
And it's free.
Free water. All you have to do is go through the little gate, get some buckets, and just fill it up, and then walk over to the truck and dump it in. And you just fill up that truck.
You're my mom who grew up in Ketchikan.
Doing the phalanx in one take was crazy because it's not our longest one take, but it's definitely our most complicated.
You see Connor and I just running down the hill, trying to chase after them. And that was hard because you had to make sure that you weren't tripping over the holes that were in the ground.
That was one of my favorite scenes to shoot. Connor's having to track like all 4 or 5 of us guys rolling down this hill, people hurdling bushes.
We spent like an hour blocking that whole scene.
It was our first day that we had wireless follow focus, and my first AC killed it. Had no monitor for it.
What good is that getting? There's ticks everywhere. Yeah.
She's standing up on the hill watching Connor and how far he is from everybody.
That was probably my favorite pole to do, just because there's all this action happening, and it's just a really fun scene.
It seemed fitting from the beginning that the camera needed a name, and we named our baby Rocco.
On set one day, I just heard like, hey, move Rocco over here. It's like, Rocco? Who's Rocco?
It was like meeting a person. Like, all right, well, your name's Rocco. I'd find myself talking to it.
I'd just ask him how he's doing, be like, yo, what's up, Rocco? What's going on, man?
And because of that, I decided to name every single light that we used. Vader, of course, Square Mac, Sir Brightington, Little Phil, Little Tommy, Little Sean, Little Michael, Yagnow, Practical Terry, Practical Carrie, Practical Larry, Practical Gary, Practical Mary.
It got to be a really weird like family tree, but yeah, it's a good time.
So people want to know why he's in denim all the time. Look, if you want to be a part of the Duke crew, we call them Dukies, you gotta start from the bottom. The bottom being denim, right? Not everyone can just pop leather like it's nothing, right? So, first of all, when he's old enough to wear leather, that's what'll happen. Right now, he's a little denim caterpillar, and he's going to cocoon, and he will emerge a leathery butterfly. It's called puberty, dude. It's called pubis.
Rudy and I having to do that felt like really realistic, just because of kind of like the weight that Marvin and Joey put on their friendship and the weight that Rudy and I put on our friendship. It would be very tough to say goodbye.
There was this one take where right after that take, we just hugged each other.
And Andy saw it. She joined the hug. Tyson, he jumped in.
A team huddle when everybody's like before the game is like,
I think there were strangers looking from near and far, envying the love we were sharing with one another.
So, swimming hole looks fun, but in fact it was horrible.
This was a scene that I think a lot of us were excited to shoot until we really got there and then realized how difficult it was going to be.
It was another, like, we were all suffering together moment.
Yeah, Spence, how much sleep did you get last night?
Not enough, dude.
We had to bring all this gear down with us. And it wasn't just like a far walk, it was really hard to traverse.
Especially toward the end where it gets really steep.
Then even once we were at where we wanted to film, it was difficult to get from place to place.
We had to pretty much ADR everything from that day because it was so loud.
I'm yelling, I'm losing my voice yelling across because it's so loud and the actors can't hear me. We didn't have walkie-talkies.
And he's just like, I needed you to speak up. And I'm like, what?
I can yell for you. You want me to yell? How loud can you?
We didn't even know where the camera was gonna be when we got there because the water level was completely different from where it was when we scouted 6 months ago. So it was like figuring out everything on the fly.
We were like halfway through the day and we only had a couple of shots done.
All right, we're recording.
I think we got the fewest number of shots that day compared to like what we were trying to get.
The whole thing was just kind of a disaster. Connor and I just decided, you know what, let's just bare bones it, just whatever we can. Like, let's just get a tiny bit of coverage for each thing just so we can kind of finish the scene.
The mood's kind of tanking again because it's like, oh man, like we're not getting what we need to.
Like nobody was really psyched about like what we just got.
And we objectively didn't get enough to make sense of the scene as it was in the script. But the sun was going down, so we had to hike up before we're like climbing on rocks at night.
And it's about like 200 yards up this like steep hill carrying all this set equipment.
We all get back up to the house and we're all exhausted from being in the sun all day.
I'm sitting there with Andrew and Connor, like always.
We're talking over the day and how it could have gone better and how we were gonna do shoots later for it.
And then this truck pulls up and a man gets out.
Immediately I'm like, uh-oh, like this does not look like he knew people were gonna be at his house.
He's walking towards the house and I say, hello, sir.
And he doesn't even like acknowledge Andrew.
And walks into his house.
Slams the screen door behind him.
He pulls out his phone, dials the number, and then he says,
who are these people? Why is all this stuff here?
And this man had a very colorful vocabulary, much more colorful than rainbows.
And I say, excuse me, sir, like, I talked with your daughter, we're allowed to film here, and that's the truth.
The image that's burned in my head from that day is looking at this very angry man from a screen door with a small poodle-esque dog in his hand on the phone, yelling at someone, some unknown suffering individual.
And Spencer walks back into the garage and he kind of looks at people and he's just like,
He says going around like this.
And everyone's just like, oh, okay, yeah, woo, what's up, Spencer? And I'm like, no, like, let's go, like, we need to go.
Spencer's like, let's go.
Andrew and Spencer were kind of running interference, but that man would not be stopped for anything.
He's like freaking out that we're on his land. And so he's like trying to reclaim it like this soldier.
He won't have it. He storms right past me and he goes right over to Titus,
who is our drone operator.
Because he looks like the oldest man on set. And he goes, are you the senior man in charge?
And Titus replied with,
well, I'm a senior man, but I'm not in charge.
The guy probably didn't even know what to say after that. He just kind of looked at him like...
This guy has a new argument now, and it's not just who are you guys? Because we had solved that problem. But now his new argument was, you guys moved all my stuff.
You moved my chair. You moved all my stuff.
I said, I sat in the chair and maybe it moved a little bit, but I'm not moving your stuff around. And he's like, don't BS me. And he's just like up in my face.
I'm there like with all of my gear and everything, like all of it just sprawled out, like all over everything. And I mean, it's plugged in, it's probably using his electricity. So I'm like, this guy's gonna like knock me out. He's gonna kill me. Like, this guy's insane.
Connor and him are like flying crates out of there, and everyone's moving at 300%.
We're like rushing to the cars, you know, like a get to the chopper kind of like moment.
It's just so awkward. And then he's hitting the garage door button, and we're all running out of the garage door,
grabbing everything, his, you know, power cords, all this stuff, and I've just got it in my arms.
Titus is packing his drone up as fast as he can.
Both me and Titus are just seeing like those doors almost in slow motion from the garage. Those garage doors, both of them are just impending doom.
And Titus is like, grabs his drone, is like running towards the garage.
He almost gets decapitated.
Titus like squeezes under the garage door.
And then of course it ricochets and goes back up and it's doing the kind of thing.
And he's just pushing it over and over.
And it's coming back down, and it's like this weird thing going on.
And Alex is the last man in the garage.
And so I'm going through the other one, seeing what's happening with Titus.
And he's running for the garage door, and he's like Indiana Jonesing, like getting under.
I remember like just one of my power cords fell. And I had to like reach right back and like grab it, like, and it was just, I mean, seconds away. And so we're not even sure who's in what car or anything, but we just know that we have to get out of there.
We get home, and then almost immediately, I think everybody kind of came to the same conclusion of just how ironic it was.
Because we realized here we are, we're shooting this scene with Mr. Phallickson kicking like Duke's gang out of his swimming hole.
And what do you know? We have a real life Mr. Phallickson.
What the heck did we just witness?
Oh my God.
We just witnessed.
I think it's a real phallic.
That was a real phallic.
I said that.
That's what we say, yeah.
It was kind of a highlight in a way. Like, it was kind of scary in the moment, and like nobody was expecting that to happen, but then we all just were able to laugh about it.
Dude, if he showed up with only Dodge, Dodge there, dude.
Just sitting, and all of a sudden he's just like, who are you? What is all this stuff?
So even though like, oh man, we didn't get all the shots, it was really frustrating at points during the day. In the end, when we all came together, we were all like laughing and smiling.
You have to include the part where he goes up and he's like, are you the senior manager?
Tyson wrote this song about the real life Mr. Phallickson.
It's just like became like this weird little jingle of like, you don't know where my stuff goes.
Don't BS me, you don't know how my stuff goes.
It was just a good ending to kind of a bad day.
Once that door closed and it was like, there's no way we can go back and film here again, because we were planning on reshooting there later, it was like, oh, I kind of had like this wave of relief and thinking, well, now I can rewrite the scene. How would I rewrite it?
The public river. This hole is reserved for me and my wife. You don't even know how to keep your own hole in.
And then it ended up being even better because we ended up doing it as a podcast and then show more time of them at space telling the story in past tense.
And that's where things got juicy. A series of insults ensued, turkey sauce, back brain.
My favorite was fusty lugs.
That awful situation kind of forced me to be more creative and figure out a new way to do the scene, and I like how it turned out a lot better.
All right, who's ready for the premiere of Hourglass Existence?
So throughout pre-production and production, me and Spencer had coined this term Gauntlet Week, which referred to our second week of principal photography, because every day that we had lined up was a really big day, and it had to be that way for the schedule. The pinnacle of Gauntlet Week was Scarfs.
Scarfs Auditorium is like this place where dreams go to die.
We had a ridiculous amount of shots scheduled for the day. That was a 9-page shoot day.
So a little bit of background. My name's Luke Reed. Duke and I, we go way back.
I think that was my first day meeting Luke, who basically just played himself.
The premieres were, of course, very reminiscent of some of the premieres that me and Spencer had done. You know, he'd always ask me to do premiere speeches. We'd get together and he'd hype me up, I'd hype him up.
He's like, just like bring up a briefcase or something like that.
Be professional.
Yeah, be hella profesh.
I don't know if I need an entire
case full of briefs. You know, I was thinking maybe one extra pair, maybe two, just in case things get super dicey on stage, you know what I mean?
What's up, bro? Oh, did you catch one?
Yeah.
You caught one of the diaper copies?
I did.
Heck yeah.
Scarfs is actually one of my favorite scenes in the film. But Scarfs was extremely difficult to shoot.
The auditorium just got really, really hot because the AC had to be off for sound.
I couldn't stay in there for more than like 5 or 10 minutes without wanting to die.
It actually got so hot that the camera ended up shutting down.
Rocco got a little hot. He just needs to cool down a bit. He's good now.
Towards the end of the night, we kind of realized that we had too many shots planned.
This was also probably my worst day as a first AD. It could have been scheduled a lot better, and I could have communicated a lot better.
The day just kind of went from pretty good to like getting worse and worse. We started losing time on audience reactions, so then we're cutting the audience reactions.
A main issue was we did not have a first AD. We had a producer grip second AC, first AD.
We had a first AD, and they bailed, of course. So Andrew kind of had to take on that responsibility, and he's never done it before.
So I felt a lot of the responsibility on me to make sure that we got the shots, which is difficult to do because you're kind of trying to tell your director to hurry up.
It started getting a bit more tense between the crew about how we were going to get this done, what we needed.
There are 3 critical shots we need. We have time for 2 with a hard out at 10 o'clock.
We can do an angle of Sawyer reacting and Sawyer and Marvin's intimate moment, or we can film the projector screen. And it's like, we absolutely need both of those.
How many times must I jump up a 90-foot crane before I...
We also needed a section of Marvin's speech. And so I'm stuck in this impossible situation.
As soon as we finish shooting that one part in the back, Connor's just like, all right, let's go. And we're just like rearranging everything. And halfway through that, Spencer starts to kind of pick up on like what's going on. And he's like, wait a minute, no, I need one more shot. We need to get the shot back here.
And Connor's like, no, like we need to get the rest of Marvin's speech.
And I'm like, no, because I knew Andy's leaving that next morning, so if we're gonna get anything with her, we need to get it now. And we're having this argument in front of everyone, and it was like really heated.
Spencer had to raise his voice and say, no, I'm in charge.
I'm putting my foot down. Like, we're not doing that.
Like, I was freaking out like, oh, if we don't get this shot, we're screwed.
It was probably the furthest apart we had been as a core 3.
There's blame on all sides because Andrew didn't schedule it right, and then Connor's out of line saying what shot we're gonna use, and then I come across as like this authoritative dictator.
And then we're wrapped, and then Andrew's like, okay, everyone start like packing everything.
We had to put the entire room back together, so it wasn't just like we could pack up our stuff and leave. There was just so much to do in a matter of like 10 or 20 minutes before we had to be out of that space.
And everybody was just kind of feeling the aftermath of like the 3 people who are supposed to be so close together, just like not on the same page.
It was just, yeah, there was definitely some high moments, but there was a lot of low moments that we had to just like get through.
Next morning, Connor and Andrew and I had another meeting, of course. You know, we all kind of apologized and made up, and was like, you know, we all could have done things better, and
we will go back at some point to get 3 or 4 shots next week. You know, we'll keep going. We're getting all the coverage we need.
Day 9, we filmed at the school,
which was pretty interesting because we couldn't get in.
The person who was supposed to let us in was a no-show.
Something weird would happen every day that we would just be like, wow, did not see this coming.
I just thought I'd start out by saying that Space Waves has had its fair share of obstacles to overcome.
We're locked out of the school. That's our first problem. We're like, crap, we gotta get this unlocked to figure this out because extras are coming and everything.
We even were getting to the point where we were thinking that we weren't gonna be able to shoot in the school at all.
And by now, I'm just so used to everything going wrong that I'm not like, oh no, what are we gonna do to get in? I'm thinking, all right, how do we wanna reschedule the rest of our production?
We had done such a good job of, if something had gone wrong, being able to reschedule the days. But at this point, there weren't a lot of scenes left to film. It was really a tough thing to be like, well, what can we reschedule? Because there's not really much that we can reschedule. Are we about to lose this day?
I did one last dummy check around the building to see if I could find an open door.
And then the front door bursts open, Connor kicks it through, and he's like, you're all looking to shoot a movie? And they're like, yes, we can get inside.
But we're expecting a bunch of extras for our classroom scene.
And one extra showed up.
I was like, Andrew, just send him home, dude.
We were like, okay, no extras, what are we gonna do?
We could only film the hallway now, and we had to do the classroom in SoCal. So what do? We can't have the scene the way it is.
Volleyball girls are cute. Should have graduated.
And my original scene was very minimal. I was supposed to be like fighting with a vending machine.
Okay, young man.
Tyson comes in with like, look, let me blueprint this for you guys, and I think we can make this work. So we all sat down, basically rewrote the entire scene.
Hey there, Mr. Principal. Sir, I would just like to take a moment of your time, if you don't mind, to talk to you about geometry.
You'll come back at 4 p.m. today.
Please,
Come to the office then.
Wait, but I don't think you understand.
Now it was like this cat and mouse thing of Duke running and trying to stop the principal from getting in the school.
I thought that was pure genius, the way that he was able to think of all of that on the spot.
Space Waves was here.
The school scene was also Andy's last day, so that was a hard goodbye for all of us.
Like when you go on adventures with friends, you always you just have memories to go off of. But we have an entire movie, so thank you all. It's been a pleasure.
Her and I had become really close because it was just the two of us staying at the Tribble house. So we just spent a lot of time like talking and listening to music and just connecting. And I was realizing like, oh no, now she's leaving. Like this is going to totally change.
Andy had to leave early because of the time of her flight, so we weren't even fully done. She had to leave kind of in the middle.
My heart was like up in my throat, dreading having to leave.
As I was hugging her goodbye, Kelly started doing room tone. So then we couldn't move.
We were just like in this really long hug.
And then the sound blankets come down and we're like laughing and crying.
Just realizing that we didn't know the next time that we were going to be able to see each other and stuff, and the friendship that we had made during that time, it was tough.
We ended up being able to shoot all the stuff we needed, and one of these days we need to do our fireworks at night scene, so you guys like in the mood?
He's like, I just got these new fireworks, dude, and they're gonna be sick. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, how big are they? And he's like, they're not that big. I watched a little video, it was like a little spark.
I was told that the fireworks would have an explosion probably about this big.
We're all pretty close, and it's a low shot, so we have Rocco on the ground.
And then Marvin.
Spencer's like, get a little closer. Dude, it's like 4 feet in front of me. And he's like, no, get a little closer, get in there. Like, we need to get everybody in the shot. And I'm like, okay.
All right, let's do this.
Oh my god. Plexiglass and a bomb shelter.
I don't know how I didn't get burned, but it was just a...
That was a good one.
Yeah, dude.
The neighbors weren't too psyched. There's this guy in the background like, shut up, or something.
We can't get too loud because it's midnight. It's midnight. The only star shining is her eyes.
We're all laughing and we're joking. And then all of those arguments that happen during the week doesn't matter anymore because we're just like finally glad to have a break and we're enjoying each other's company as friends again.
Wait.
After Gauntlet week, dude, you should chill too.
I probably should. I just don't want to be, I'd rather like work than be stressed out on set tomorrow.
Yeah. You sound very prepared.
I'm more prepared for this, definitely. But dude, Scarfs was kind of a nightmare, bro, so I just don't want that to happen again.
We had been having some of the roughest days, I think, on set for the past probably 3 days.
We had gone through enough challenges for any people who are bad at their job to have given up by now. Any filmmakers who didn't really want to make the film would have given up, and we had not given up.
It kind of got to this point in the shoot where we just accepted, like, it's never going to be easy, but we're just going to keep pushing through it.
Samson's lot had the craziest blocking, and the location was not fully secured.
This is the one location we were really kind of guerrillaing, whatever.
It was like an hour away. It was one of our farthest locations. And I was really nervous the night before.
We're driving, and I realized I made a wrong turn. So I go off onto this side street to turn around.
And he ends up backing up a little too far.
Yeah, Andrew. You drove into a ditch. Why? That was so funny.
Well, if it's not one thing,
it's
another.
We were already running a little behind. And then I get a call. Dude, we just got kicked out.
Some security rolls up. They're like, you guys gotta go. They're doing this thing to me now. They're like, you guys gotta go. I'm like, great.
How's it going?
It's all right. It's all right.
We can't shoot this big scene. We have 4 days remaining until Tyson leaves. And Tyson's a big part of that scene.
Once again, Connor and Spencer and Andrew all kind of go off.
We decided that we were just going to do a lot of traveling around that area and get the road scenes done, which was a productive day.
That was always our wild card, like, hey, we lost a location. Let's do a road trip scene. Okay. And so that's what we did.
We got to film underneath this bridge, but it had like this cool catwalk.
We have like a whole bunch of pictures of us in between like the support beams of the bridge.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a little creepy because you get out and there's just like a 1,000-foot drop and you're like, ooh, I sure hope I don't fall. That would really put a hamper on this movie.
We were having a little dance party on set, and he's doing all these pelvic maneuvers and he's slapping his thighs, right? As men are prone to do.
It was just one of those things where we were messing around, just kind of playing.
And he just escalates in intensity, right? We're talking like Mach 1, Mach 2 speeds. And then he hit me right in the crotch. Imagine as a kid you're playing hot lava, and then you step in the hot lava and you just get engulfed in flames. Imagine all of that, but in the crotchal region.
We got safe waves over there.
Might go get some gummy bears.
And then the other scene we were able to move to this day was the train track scene.
Yo, goals. We gotta get Space Waves into the iTunes top spot by the end of the summer.
The train track scene was one of the longest scenes me and Marvin had.
We weren't exactly allowed to shoot there,
but we had a meeting with everybody and we were saying, if you don't need to be on the tracks, don't be on the tracks. We were very, very, very clear about how safe we need to be.
One thing I had really wanted for this film was a cam op, preferably someone who's experienced with the type of camera stabilizer we had using. But since my whole camera team was one person, and that person was the first AC, I didn't really have anyone to op the camera, so I ended up opping.
Connor's like, I don't know if I can steady cam this walking backwards for 3 minutes. And then we were thinking about, okay, well, if it's not a one take, let's cut it up into different wides and mediums and close-ups and stuff.
Spencer and Connor weren't quite seeing eye to eye.
By the time we finish, the arch will be in frame.
It was kind of a last straw moment of like, yo, we got to come together at this point. We got to get the scene.
And I said, okay, start with this medium and then just back up and try it that way. And then Becca and Connor almost get it perfect on that first one. And I was like, well, let's just do it in one take then. Let's just do like 10 takes of this and then one of these will work.
We ended up getting this one shot where the train was actually going in the background of the scene.
I can feel it.
But it was kind of like Super 8 where it's like, production value! Get the shot with the train going.
But as we're like watching playback, we kind of like look over the monitor and we realize, like, back over where our trucks and stuff are, there's this police officer.
And we have the cops here, huh?
Yeah, got the 5-0.
I'm thinking, oh, shoot.
Need everybody's ID, it's much quicker, okay?
Okay.
Or I can call the sheriff up here and we can just write a bunch of tickets. So I don't think we need to do that.
But he was super nice, let us go. Also tell us a lot of horrific stories of people that were shooting on train tracks.
The guts, the arms, there's a leg here, a torso here, no head. The first 2 ones I went to, where's the head? No, there isn't one anymore.
Yeah, that was an interesting day.
We'd been kicked out of 3 places that day. One of them was just a place we were trying to park. We didn't even get kicked out of the parking lot. We got kicked out of the parking spot. That's another story.
Urban legend has it, the natives built it centuries ago. Only a few have ever been able to find it.
You got all that from an anonymous comment on the podcast?
The forest was rough. So rough I don't want to talk about it.
I wake up for the day that we're filming The Forest, and there are a couple of pressing things on my mind. The first is that I need to go get the chicken that we're using for this scene.
It's kind of cute.
The other pressing thing on my mind is that we need a location for Samson's lot, and we need an actor for Samson within 2 days. We're getting things started at The Forest, and I try to make sure that Connor and Spencer know what their shots are. And me leaving set is not a good situation, but it's better than screwing ourselves over for the future. So I said, guys, do your best to be on time. Do your best to get your shots. I have to go.
We drove around for a while, and there was pretty much nowhere that had any cell data at all.
Eventually we find like a main street, and the first thing we come into, it's Bill and Bill's Realtors.
And we basically asked them, do you think we can use your landline to call people for this film that we're working on?
They're like, yeah, come on in, no problem. We'll set you up at a desk over here.
We were like frantically yelling across the office, like, hey, write this number down, write this number down.
We were putting out so many phone calls for both actors and locations that Bill and Bill would start to get phone calls and say, Andrew, it's for you, and then they would send it over to my phone.
So we basically took over their office.
But things were going nowhere with the cast. So I was like, screw it. If the internet is giving us nothing, I'm gonna hit the town. And I talked to the person behind who's making sandwiches, and I said, hey, I'm producing a movie and I'm looking for a cast. So she tells me, yeah, I know a director for theater. I can refer you to her. And they give me a list of 7 or 8 numbers, and one person picks up the phone, and that guy's name was Paul Mixon. So we casted Samson without ever seeing his face, without ever seeing him act, because that was the only option we had.
Guys, we're gonna head back. We're so close. How do you know that?
Similar to the swimming hole, actually, had a lot of difficulty just like moving setups, moving around, and it was taking a lot more time than we were expecting it to take. The time of day we were shooting, for me, was really difficult because there was just no good light to work with.
One thing just kind of starts mounting up and you just get tired and frustrated.
You know, just classic same old story. The sun is leaving, running out of time. I'm calling Andrew like, get back to set. Every time he leaves set, things just fall apart. And so he finally ends up coming back, and then he's like, okay, like, let's go. What can we do to make this faster and everything? Okay.
So what are you getting in frame so I can just kind of stand?
That chicken was not about hanging out on this set at all. It was a loner chicken.
Oh, snap. So the chicken is on the loose right now.
Pretty sure that if that chicken had thoughts that could be translated into English words, they'd be like, get me the hell out of here.
Oh my goodness, Denim, we need your help. Catch the chicken.
Abram, who played Denim, is somehow a chicken whisperer.
Get it.
See the bib, and we'll get the insert after this.
Okay, if he stays in the center, we need to move that log though.
I wasn't supposed to hold the chicken in the script. We were supposed to see it and then just kind of make our comments on it, and the chicken was just supposed to sit there. Well, again, that wasn't the case. It ran away and was constantly trying to, leave.
Okay, our chicken is escaping out there.
So I just footballed this chicken for an hour and a half, and I needed a lot of hand sanitizer afterwards.
We have gathered here today for the Lords of Deathcore and Skate to watch over us as we shred this hill, land these flips, and twist these kicks. Thank you. All right.
Samson's lot. F that.
Oh, like.
Samson's Lot 2 was the worst day.
Again, we thought that only the second week was going to be Gauntlet Week, but it was just every day at this point.
2 characters will kind of enter the side.
I was talking with Spencer, and Spencer's saying, dude, I don't know about tomorrow. No, we've never been to the location, never worked with this actor. It's got the most complicated blocking, and things just haven't been going well in general.
Spencer and I went and scouted this one school that was in the area. The night before, we had rescheduled to shoot the scene. So it was like pitch black. We're looking around with like our flashlight phones and trying to take pictures.
We had to shot list. We had to have a team meeting and reschedule things as we did every night.
They ended up staying up until really early in the morning.
I remember waking up just praying and thinking, God, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to get through this day because I feel terrible and it's 7 a.m.
We had undoubtedly the worst start to a day that we had ever had. This was worse than going to Samson's lot and losing the location. This is worse than showing up at the school and not having any extras and rewriting. And it was the worst of them all because the crew was like defeated before we had started. They're just wiped out. This is the 3rd week of production,
We're trying to do like this long one take. It's not working because it's wicked hard to frame. And then there's focus issues. And then I'm like, nope, do it again. Everybody's like not feeling it. Everyone's in a bad mood.
At this point, we had only gotten a couple shots done, and we had kind of a heavy shot schedule for this day. It was kind of sad. The whole crew was kind of breaking down.
People were getting dehydrated because it was a really hot day.
I got heat exhaustion that day.
Pushing that man in a cart for a good 4 hours.
Connor was barely awake. He had a fever.
So Rebecca and I had to kind of set up the shots without him.
He'd like have just enough energy to check frame, and then he'd snooze as we were actually doing the shot.
I'm sitting down like, okay, what's the next shot? Let's do this. I'm holding the paper. I'm looking at it with him. I'm like, hey, I'm tapping him, and he's literally falling asleep. And I'm like,
he was just sinking against this wall, collapsing into sleep. Spencer and I had to figure out what the heck is going on.
We go over, we tell Becca, hey, Connor's like not doing well. We're gonna give him a break. Can you be the DP right now?
Okay, like if that's what you guys need, then I'll be able to do that. But at the same time, I'm like, man, this is going to be really hard. And then there was also like construction happening like just across the way. So Kelly's starting to get frustrated.
Wow, it is so bright out here, dude. It's like ISO 100.
It just kind of crumbled. I was so frustrated, but I was, at the same time, I felt so bad because I was like, I know how hard they're trying, but it's just, we're losing it slowly.
I mean, like, yeah, like that, but better.
I snapped really hard.
She said something to the intent of like, I'm done with this.
I just walked off.
I immediately knew that trying to continue the day without radically changing something would just be an absolute mess.
We just really needed a reset.
Andrew's like, okay, I'm ordering pizza. We get Domino's, and that really helped.
I was trying to make a joke, but it's too serious right now, isn't it?
I remember getting pizza, and that was the turnaround for me.
Connor kind of like hobbles over a little bit.
He was operating at 20% now, so we said, okay, we'll take him.
And Kelly had this really awesome moment where she apologized, and she said that she just needs to cool down, and I don't want to be the kind of person like I was just a couple minutes ago. I want to work through this. I want to be with you guys. And she just like had a super humble moment that I like respect her so much for.
That day, for all of the ups and downs that we had, was personally one of the most important days I've ever had on set.
We had been filming every day, you know, minus one break day. But it was kind of one of those things where we kind of had a meeting of the cast and just like, look, we can't give in to the frustration. I get it. There's probably things that you wish were going a little bit differently or smoother, but you got to roll with it. That's just how it works.
You either choose to ruin everything for everyone or you come together and figure out how to troubleshoot. And we could all do that even when we were at like our lowest points.
Everybody had something they were like battling through on set, but some awesome things came out of it. Like Tyson had this awesome improv skit that he did.
You know, I saw Samson down by the Quickie Mart. Dude says that's his lot too. I think he can only have one lot.
And we're all just like dying behind the camera, like trying not to laugh. It definitely made like that day start like going back up to what it was supposed to be.
So by now we're a couple hours behind. We have a ton of shots to do, but man, like it went great. And we were nailing out shots and we were getting funny performances. And this guy that we casted without ever seeing or hearing him act, he turned out to be doing a great job.
Welcome, privates.
We ended the day getting all the shots we planned for. And it was one of the 2 days, all of production, that we wrapped on time.
Everything that could go wrong happened. I mean, JD got his drone stuck in the tree.
Did you get it stuck?
Rudy had his back all scraped up from the shopping cart.
Getting through that day and seeing the footage that we got, you would have never known in a million years that any of that happened.
I'm yelling loud so Andrew knows he thinks I'm doing something.
That's right,
What?
I'm signaling Andrew to go.
You're signaling Andrew. Well, I'm waiting for Connor, and this whole BTS documentary is just going to be one big complicated mess.
But it ended really nicely with a whole bunch of people in the back of a truck holding on to Connor with the Steadicam.
Action!
Oh my god! Oh my god. All right, stop, cut.
Today was Space Waves' biggest bounce back of all production so far. We ended with getting 20-some shots. It looked good, Good performances and stuff. A good bounce
And a
back.
huge turnaround.
Yeah.
Boom.
And we ended up actually going to the Andrews house and having this beautiful dinner that they'd prepared for us.
Just need to savor this moment.
And everyone was around. We played ping pong. People got to meet the goat finally. I'm trying to make friends with him, but I don't really know if he wants me.
At some point during the day, I was getting really concerned if we'd all still be friends at the end of this because it had been such a hard day. And we still found a way to be like, you know what? We're still going to be friends at the end of this day. Even if today wasn't that great, we're still going to make the most of it.
I like how that's going. All right, here we go.
You gotta get to the seat, dude.
What do you guys think? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Looks better in person though, doesn't it? All right, let's get started.
Girthinator scene went really well that I was pretty surprised. It was like, wait, nothing went wrong today. So are we sure this is Space Waves? Something needs to go wrong.
Got to film at this awesome recording studio up in the mountains, so we had no trouble with audio or anything like that.
You have carpet. I mean, everything was just sealed off really nice.
Ellie, are you happy we're in a room designed for capturing audio?
Love it. Might be permanent.
I said, Kenny, this is what I want you to do. I want you to come up with some stuff that you can really drill them and make them know that this is your house.
He pulled me aside and said, yo, let's go talk over here. So I was like, okay.
How could you get back in those 4 movies? Why would I continue to make more movies and ruin the reputation I have? I chose to stop working. I chose to stop making film because I made the best films ever made.
Just going on about the Girthinator and the things that he's accomplished.
I mean, you tell me what movie was better than the Girthinator. There's nothing.
It definitely set the tone because then they were able to go into the scene and be kind of intimidated and like, this guy's crazy.
You know, you're gonna get famous. And if you get famous, you're gonna get babes. And you're gonna get babes, you're gonna get international babes. And people are gonna know you all around the world. You know what I'm talking about? Because right now you're still babies. You ain't on the Girthinator's level yet. 'Cause we're gonna be going in that room and we're gonna talk about you. But really, what's it really about?
It's about you.
Exactly. We're gonna talk about your podcast, but whose podcast are you on? Still got another year. I'll handle for you.
Right.
Woo! All right, continue.
We had this life-size cutout of the Girthinator, and we would put him around base camp in different places where we would try to scare people.
Oh my god.
We would put that in front of people who were sleeping. We'd put it in front of the bathroom.
We also shot my favorite cameo that day. We were just cracking up about it, trying to get his hands like just right, and then trying to nail the focus.
And action. Wait, watch this video.
Okay, let's see it.
How was the rack? Yo, how was the rack poking?
Yo! Dude! Enough Space Waves talk, time to work.
It was a lot of moving stuff around, a lot of art preparation.
I did not get to go to the location before we started shooting. I didn't even have any photos of what the inside of the store looked like.
Pushed into here and I don't know what happened.
The store is set up, but the way that we were gonna be shooting it, it had to all be changed. So we moved 10 couches and there was like probably 12 clothing racks that we had to move around, and only some of them were on wheels.
Everyone's asking her, what do you want us to move stuff? What do we do? And Timothy's like, I don't know, but you can't let people know you don't know. As a leader, you have to just make a decision and try to shield people from that uncertainty.
Bro, you're the
Nailed his head.
Tell me about the bagel dropping, dude.
Each individual like prop and set deck piece has a story.
They were like, dude, Luke, we have a scene where there's like 1 billion beer cans on the floor, so why don't you just give us your beer cans? And I'm like, I don't drink that much beer. Like, what?
The podcast exploded.
Marvin's room was really fun to set deck. This was actually filmed in Luke Reed's actual bedroom. So we moved the bed, we took everything off the walls that was there, and I taped up the photographs.
Working with Tiffany was pretty sweet. She redesigned my room and made it look nice. I had like laundry lying all over the place, and it just like, you could tell whoever lives here was raised by wolves.
You're a genius.
We needed a desk for this scene, and Luke didn't have a desk. So what we ended up doing was Luke had this old bookshelf that was in his room. So he goes out to behind his garage and finds this like big piece of plywood, saws off the bottom of this shelf to make it into a level desk. And then that became Marvin's desk.
I still have that desk up. It's a great desk.
Describe that odor. Definitely like a pungent, moist, swamp crotch, stewy.
There's one makeout scene in the film. It's probably what they'll choose to make it an R-rated film.
It's like 9 minutes of just the grittiest stuff you've ever seen.
So he's saying that as she's like in the power position, you know?
And I'm like, Spencer, I honestly have no idea how to set up for this scene because I don't know how we're gonna shoot this.
He always knows. He always has a shot idea. And every time both of us come up with a shot, usually we'll end up going with his because he's that good of a DP. And
we talked about the on top and then they brought up like the lap thing.
Yeah.
They suggested what you'll see in the final film.
We were doing the scene, and then all of a sudden I look over and Spencer and Connor are like, what's going on right now?
What if she says,
I don't know what Connor and Spencer saw on the other side of it. Like, I don't know.
This was actually my last day. My flight out of there was an hour after we arrived on set, so I had an hour to do set deck for that room. I was literally like still taping things up as I was like trying to run out the door and like give everybody hugs.
A lot of people were leaving that night or the next morning.
It was the last day of Rudy being in Grass Valley, and it was basically like the breakup scene for them.
don't bother me.
Don't give me that. You're always trying to put me in the background.
Drew really wanted to get into the character, and he would ask me stories about like what happened between you and that friend, and tell me more about you so I understand this character more.
Spencer had written this long letter to the best friend that had hurt him.
I shared it with Andrew and I said, check this out. And then he read it and he's like, you should show that to Drew right before he does that fight scene with Joey.
It was just so clear how much it rocked Drew.
I'm always trying to hang out with you and go on adventures and...
Yeah. No, you are. But just as long as those adventures were good enough content to fuel the podcast.
There were times during that shoot where we would end takes and no one would be talking. And I went on like a really long walk after I'd finished shooting that scene just to get everything out.
When we were done filming at that house, we had already done about a 12-hour day.
It was nearing midnight and we all got together.
It was like our best opportunity to say goodbye.
All of you guys stuck it out the entire way. Like the entire film. That is insane. I think I started it 16 days ago. I came to the same parking lot and met all of you for the first time. And now it feels like we had just gone through a lifetime together. We're chasing our dream. Like, we are doing what most people are afraid of doing.
This is day 18 right here.
Day 18. 18.
We had a really special moment where we all kind of got to reflect and go over everything we had learned and express all the emotions that we had felt throughout the entire shoot.
Being on set is a very vulnerable position you're putting yourself in, and it's one of the very few art forms that actually is so collective. Being with the crew for so long, I've noticed how like when I'm having a tough time, even if I'm not happy with the shot, like kind of keep the energy up so it doesn't affect like the actors and everyone else.
You look back and you're like I wish I didn't act that way in that down part, you know what I mean? And you kind of just go through that and you battle that with yourself, and this has been a really cool experience, and I appreciate everybody, and I hope that everybody does like really well in their careers. And we all came together at the very end, experiencing this beautiful moment with people that you don't know if you're gonna see again.
24, dude. 24. Space waves, space waves, space waves, space waves.
Golden Empire Market is this liquor store that we scouted.
I probably called like a couple times a day, and every time I would reach like a different person and I'd ask to speak to the manager and they would tell me the manager is not in.
So On day 0, before I even get to base camp, we stop at Golden Empire Market. I walk in there and I say, hey, I'm the film producer who's shooting on this day. They're like, yeah, we're so sorry. I was just about to call you. But it looks like that day doesn't work for us. Are you free on any of these? And the only day we could possibly do it. Final day of production, at night, final scene.
We show up an hour before, and she comes out and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, you can't shoot here anymore.
And my heart just sinks. This is day 18. People have flights leaving tomorrow morning. There's no way we can push this back. And Marvin's car is in the scene. There's no way that we can get that down to SoCal and shoot that there. We have extras lined up for this scene. We have additional cast lined up for this scene. This has to happen tonight. You know, there's no other option.
I remember just like being on my laptop, like frantically searching different gas stations or convenience stores.
And we go to one gas station and they say, like, sorry, we can't let you film here. I say, do you know of any other places? And they say, oh, maybe this one. And then we go to those and we follow the same.
Time is going by, so we lose all our extras.
I honestly didn't think we would be able to get anything done.
Eventually, Dodge finds this chevron, and she said, yeah, I spoke to this guy, Daryl, on the phone, and Daryl said, yeah, it's chill. That was all we had to go after.
We were concerned that we drive like an hour to get there, and then what if we get there and then we can't shoot anyway?
Morale was at an all-time low, but Andrew kicked it into high gear, and he just like took leadership and delivered the most mind-blowing hype speech ever.
We have to shoot this. This whole 18 shoot day arc of Space Waves is not going to end on us deciding that this challenge is too tough for us to beat. We went through showing up at a school, no one's there. We had Samson's Lot. We got into an argument at one of our biggest sets, lost our car day 2, and you're telling me that maybe we weren't gonna be able to get this final scene. No, we have to finish with this.
In a true Space Waves fashion, take it up a notch, interdigitate, take things up to beast mode and say, you know what, we're not gonna settle, and it doesn't matter how late we're gonna stay up, and we're gonna finish this movie.
We're trying to figure out how the blocking could work with this new location.
Where would you go for that? Would you go from right here and then just like run around like this?
Of course, it's a long one take. Of course, it's on the Steadicam. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm like half awake.
We go through hours of shooting, and I thought we would never end.
There's a lady that approached us. She was under the influence of some sort of something.
First she starts with the fingertip and she's touching the car, okay? Then it moves to the whole palm. Then it moves to like trying to get in and she starts talking about, wow, leathery seats, okay, that's weird.
I had a conversation with her because she enjoyed the car, loved the car, said that her high school boyfriend drove it.
She was making it very difficult for us to shoot, which was already hard because it was so late.
I'm focusing on like, Connor, what are we doing with the shot, you know? And then this lady's like, can you open up the hood? Stop!
One of the gas station owners like tried to carry on a conversation with her and kind of walk her out of the scene.
And then she ends up putting her hands on him then.
Eventually we had to get the cops there, which later took her away.
Like, why does there always have to be something that goes wrong? Wasn't the location enough, you know?
That's a wrap for Space Waves! We would be a little more psyched, but it is 3 a.m. and it's been really long 3 weeks. This is what's left of us. The rest of the crew has been casualties.
We still had to like pack up some stuff. We had to get the car back on the dolly.
You're almost there.
The dolly couldn't take the Mustang all the way up to Spencer's house because it was such a thin road.
It could still sort of drive, but you had to jump start it. So then we have this jump box that my dad gave me.
So we're jump starting it, like trying to breathe little bits of life into it.
I'll go start it.
He gets in, drives it as far as it can go before it sputters out.
My car died 5 times on the way to my house. I get it up my driveway and then it dies on my driveway. Connor and Taylor and Becca all come out because they had just gotten back from returning the trailer. And then we all just push the car up the hill one last time.
And I remember just kind of looking out and you could see the sky start to turn blue.
Like, man, this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
You know, the night never ends. We went through the house, offloaded footage, and organized it. And I fell asleep halfway through.
It didn't feel like a big victory. It just kind of felt like we just survived a war.
When you've been through something like that together, it's hard to describe. You don't want it to end.
You become friends, you become family.
Starvation, no eating.
I was super, super bummed to get back to LA. I think I spent the next 2 or 3 weeks like seriously bummed out that I wasn't in Grass Valley anymore.
You get like that first rest day and you're like, oh, okay, I feel so much better. And then it's like that second, third day hits and you're like, where's everyone? Where's set? What time do we get to be there?
It's not every day that you get to like collaborate and work together with like a really great team.
Now you truly will be Vader's father.
You know, they set aside differences, they get along, and I don't know, it's a really beautiful thing.
Oh, the VT right here.
This is for the hype for Space Waves! Woo!
See you in there, kid.
Spencer and I were meeting about 2 to 3 times a week, just really piecing together everything, making sure that it felt right. Spencer might come in, you know, with all this energy about like, oh, okay, I've got this idea, like it's gonna be really great. I know what we need to do for this scene.
What do you guys think of that editing session?
It's a real deal.
One thing that was kind of challenging was there were actually still quite a few scenes that we needed to shoot. It was pretty neat being able to just see everybody come back together.
It was a great reunion because we had mostly everyone, and seeing the cast for the first time since shooting, right back to where we left off.
Hey, we're back at it, guys. They were all pretty manageable. We were shooting them local. It's just one weekend here, one day here.
This is the frame. You guys are all converging in here, and then different studio people are pulling the extras out of it. So that's the idea.
Yeah. So we're gonna take just 2 minutes to get the camera ready, and then once that's ready to go, we're gonna get things rolling.
Ready? Okay, action. What did you think? You're the one that's editing this. Yeah. Did you see it?
Yeah.
You guys are all wrapped. That's a wrap for today. Woo!
We also had to reshoot the playground scene.
What are you doing, dude?
There were a few shots that we didn't have that were kind of crucial to moving it along. I ended up turning to Spencer and kind of telling him, I think we might want to reshoot this one.
Who does not know what a hype speech is? Raise up your hand.
I
All
said
you
it
new
like
people-
right
Did
before
already
you
tell them?
came. Yeah. We're gonna be moving gear right next to the rocket ship.
It was really fun being able to bring people that weren't a part of that community at first and bring them right into the experience of Space Waves a little bit more.
It's just like last time.
Are we good?
Okay, action.
Tell me how this scene's been going.
I can't believe I still have a voice.
How are your lungs?
I'll probably be dead tomorrow. About a box and a half.
Let's look at this little pile.
It's not all of it.
Boom. Yeah, that was good. Start of the scene is like Marvin and Joey walking in. Imagine yourself in that class. So maybe you can be, you had a good expression. You're just like, oh. But yeah, you should be drawing. You can be just drawing back there. And then I need somebody else like sleeping. For the next shot. 2, actually. Do this and try to get you guys closer into this. Okay, yeah, that's good. Ready? Action.
We're in the wrong classroom. You think? I think this is sex ed. Should we send it? Let's butter this bimbo.
I think that's the last shot for the day, man.
Space, 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 space.
far as we knew, there was no other tower like it, and we're starting from square one trying to find this perfect replacement. And we only had one lead. And our one lead so far was Google.
We're telling people, yeah, like everything's going great. We're gonna do this thing, and we're scrambling behind closed doors. What are we gonna do?
It's really raining right now.
Yeah, it is.
The space tower wasn't something that we could easily just replace in the story.
So many other people are saying, just shoot it somewhere else. Oh, it's not that big of a deal, and they don't get it. You know, space and this tower was the reason why I wrote this movie, and that was what the whole story really revolved around. We just didn't want to compromise. We had to have this conversation between compromise and vision many times. If you're not siding with vision and you're siding with compromise on the heart and soul of the story, you're doing it wrong.
Are you ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
We are going on a trip to promote Space Waves. You know, we're gonna hit the town, do some damage. Damn right.
Yeah. There was a point where I was kind of getting concerned. Really didn't know what was going to happen. I knew we were going to try and get it done before the summer came around, but it was still a concern of mine that we didn't have somewhere that we were promised that we could shoot at.
Our plan is to film at a different radio tower.
It was just a whole lot of praying and Googling and calling people if they had any sort of lead.
We said, you know what? We believe this is supposed to happen, whatever it takes.
That's it, right? Space Wave score right there.
We had until May 8th to shoot the scene because our school's equipment room would be closed for the summer. Each weekend that we choose, we end up sacrificing one person from being able to come or one thing that we needed. So Drew wasn't available here, Rudy wasn't available here. One weekend we could have everybody except for our tower climber, or one weekend we could have everything except Connor, and we would need a different DP.
Are you hurting? Is that okay?
Yeah, it kind of stings.
We find one weekend that can work in April, and everybody's free except for the tower climber. So let's just hope and pray that this will be it. Because after this, Rudy leaves for 5 months to go do this Netflix show. So we need to do it on this one weekend, and this is like the only one. It really is do or die at this point.
Now it's 9 days left, we have no leads. 1 week left, we have no leads. I'm sending emails and no one's responding, and
we prepared like we had them already.
We drop a lot of money on Airbnb, on porta potty rental, on insurance and climbing gear, and we just do everything like this is gonna happen.
And it's getting down to the wire, and then finally this one person says, you know, I had a really crappy day at work, I'll let you know tomorrow. And then he calls back the next day and says, oh yeah, we can do it, I can do it.
And I was trying not to freak out over the phone because I was so elated.
I could not believe it, dude.
Yeah, it was amazing. That was one of the best moments.
Feelings.
And that was 2 nights before we had to leave. 2 nights before, and we got our climber.
Super late.
We've arrived, ladies and gentlemen. And all we have to say is, get hype!
Honestly, yeah, the trip going up there was good, and settling into the Airbnb was super good.
Did you break that thing?
Oh yeah, this is a goner.
Anything that says do not open, that means open it right away.
Wait, I'll handle the art. No.
Alright, so behind me we have our aspect ratio mirror. As you can see, we have 4x3.
Cheers to this. Started going through like the PowerPoints for training and whatnot.
This is the most dangerous industry in the world. There's more deaths in this industry than crab fishing typically.
We need to do a show on there's like a deadliest catch, like deadliest climb.
I was just realizing the gravity of what we were asking our cast and crew to do when we got there.
Pretty much you make a mistake and you fall off about 50 feet.
You could get pretty messed up.
Well, I mean, someone goes septic 7 minutes after they're dangling just due to where the harness is.
This like really accentuates the package.
We spent a little bit in the morning learning, and then it was just time to go to the tower.
We followed Andrew, which whenever you follow Andrew on set, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We did this just to relive the memories, you know.
There must be like a hole in it.
Oh, there's a pretty wicked dip. Oh, really?
Just bottom out.
Yeah. You're gonna come this way.
Yeah. Go for it. Go. Space Wave shoot. We're probably gonna end up pushing a car at some point.
Yeah, well, did that like, oh, is that it? That's it right there. Oh, there's the tower. Did you see that? There it is.
We made it. We see the tower, finally.
This looks like our tower and our porta potty. Our freaking porta potty's right here.
We just got in, dude. We just got in.
Welcome to space.
So we're just climbing up?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to expect until I was halfway up the ladder going up, and that's when I initially looked down. It kind of put everything into perspective, because it was kind of sketchy. I'm not gonna lie, this radio tower's been up probably since like the 50s or 60s or something like that. Really, really gorgeous, but at the same time, pretty scary.
So what do I do here?
Put a clamp up here. Connor, we're sharing a choker.
Pretty good. Power through, baby. Whoa!
Driver's ed did not prepare me for this one. We'll be out here all day, so we've got plenty of food and water and stuff to go around. When we're climbing, if there's a choice between only speed or only safety, we do only safety. Thank you.
You just need a
Good light.
backlight. We were going for like early morning hour light and late evening hour light. We had to make it there while it was still dark, so we had enough time to rig up the actors.
Open your carabiner through the back. To you.
Right down there? All right.
Yeah, because once I do my flyby, I'm back in clear air. It should be an easy shot up the hill.
And then once the first light was out, we had 2 actors up there. We were doing some drone footage.
It was just so awesome to be there when the sun has barely come up. It's chilly, but you're like tied down to this tower and you're just with your friends looking out, and it's just such an amazing moment.
It's like, okay, what's happening?
All right, ready?
Okay, wait.
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 Yo! You see that?
I don't think they saw it. And we had a pulley system set up so we could get camera gear from the ground to the second level of the tower, and then a second pulley system from the second level to the top level of the tower. Not only is camera gear heavy, but the only way to really make it less heavy is by taking it all apart, which means you have to reassemble it all once it gets to the top of the tower.
Leashes now.
Yeah.
Swing fall. And this makes it nice, but it makes it a little bit more dangerous.
We're doing a makeup
Rudy
tutorial.
and Andrew sitting in a radio tower. Yeah. Doing each other's makeup.
Alright, can we have quiet up here for just a minute? Josh? Did you test Drew's audio?
Can we scoop both of you towards me?
Okay, thank you.
It's a big old game of Tetris once you all get up there.
Rocco coming in hot. Risque camera move. I love it.
We had to always keep equipment clipped to something so that if they fell, it wasn't going to hit someone or get destroyed.
All right. Camera set.
The tough thing with someone like sitting off the edge of a tower is they're acting and you want to see their face and what they're saying and their emotions, and so yeah, a lot of the time the camera had to be as close to the edge as physically possible. So yeah, we flirted with death.
It was kind of bizarre because we didn't really have a lot of downtime in principal photography, if at all. And then going up there for the weekend and then having to shoot in the morning and the evening and then having nothing to do during the day. It was kind of strange for the Space Wave set, but it was definitely appreciated by everybody.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wish all sets you just got to sleep for 6 hours.
Yeah, in the middle of the day. Yeah.
It was sweet.
So what's been your job on set?
I've enjoyed being crafty on set of Space Waves, preparing the meals, and everybody's been so thankful and grateful, and I wish I could do it all the time because all the cast members and the crew members have just been so fun.
Yo, Space Waves, let's go! All right, dude. Let's go pack it up.
What's the date today? It's the 14th?
14th,
April 14th, 2019. An adventure is closing today. Hey, Bo, wait, come here. When I was in the car coming up to San Francisco, it was a moment of like, this is what it's about. And I get to say now, from now on, I got to do an entire movie with one of my closest friends, and now some of my closest friends I have made on set. And from here on out, I'll be able to be like, that is my first feature film, and I'm proud of it.
Our final roll. Roll 50. Let's go. It definitely changed my life. It changed the way I saw filmmaking and how I saw myself and how I saw my friends who had gone through this war-like experience with me. And as hard as it was and as crazy as it was, if I had to do it again, I definitely would. And I'm pretty sure, like most everyone on the shoot, would do it again in a heartbeat.
It was like, even the bad days, I wouldn't trade them.
I think going through the craziness brought us all together in a really neat way.
When you go through that many ups and downs, it's like, well, we're in it. We're all in it together. We've all been through everything now. There's nothing we can't do.
Again and again, we got hit with so many things that would probably cause other people to quit, and no one gave up. In the end, we all knew that it was worth it.
Something kind of interesting here. Does anybody know what just happened? I think we officially wrapped on Space Waves, and we just now filmed it.
Right in the face, I couldn't see any of that. Those goggles after the Super Bowl. So yeah, we finished filming. That's a wrap.
I don't know if it would have felt as amazing if we didn't suffer so much in the process.
Bro, you were like ponying out of this.
If I never do another feature film again, I'm glad that this was my one, you know?
I don't know, it's my first feature. It will always be my first feature.
I'm just so happy that I got to be a part of this.
Can I fool you? Man, I know you're taking a video.
The atmosphere of Space Wave just seemed like a whole bunch of friends who were hanging out together but making a film on the side.
What was good for a cook?
We really valued making sure we had fun every day and, trying to live it to the fullest.
Everybody get in here.
We really just got to make the most of the time we have together.
Goodbyes are important, no matter how much you don't want to say them.
Yeah.
All right, welcome guys. My name is Luke Reed. And I'm Tyson Pessner. And we are both featured in the film that you are all here to watch today called Space Waves. And I'll say something else. If you're not already hyped, commence hype protocols immediately. Commencing hype. That's right, because this thing has been a long time coming. This thing... You are not prepared for it. You guys are not prepared at all. And Space Waves is about to go full 1980s high school bully mode on you people. You people. So buckle up, buttheads, and brace for impact because this thing is gonna eat your lunch. It's gonna bruise your banana. It's gonna blow your rocket. It's gonna wet your willy. It's gonna kill your youngling. Anakin! It's gonna hug your sister with way too much pelvic engagement. It's gonna kick your pocket full of tater tots. Give me some of your cock. Go find your own. It's gonna sniff Joe Biden and then it's gonna sniff you. Come on, man! Oh yeah. And then, if you're not already hot and bothered by the copious amounts of sniffing and butt kicking, it's gonna take you to the edge of your seats with a drippy transition that shreds major gnar all over your beefy Alfredo. Fresh ground pepper, tell me when! Pours hot coffee all over your lap. But you get to McDonald's even though your thighs are fused together like a permanent skin skirt. Lawyer says no restitution for you.
Wait, what does that even mean?
It means get ready for the poundage. Please welcome the writer, the director,
I set out to write the movie I wanted to see within the parameters of the story I needed to tell. You know, there's so many movies about romantic breakups, but hardly any movies about best friend breakups. And this is the movie I wish I had when I was in high school experiencing that falling out. This movie is meant to be a comfort for those going through something similar, and hopefully it can help you see yourself in these characters and reevaluate the health of your own relationships. This movie is about letting go of how things were, embracing how things are, and knowing that although times change, friendship and adventure can be found in every season of life. And with that, we present to you Space Waves.
For me, like the second half is what really drew me in. I was laughing, I was crying. Everything works together to get me to the emotional point right now.
Cinematography, unreal. I love seeing the chemistry between the actors and the friendship really playing off.
Yeah, the diaper on his head. He's like, yeah!
You got a real Space Waves tattoo.
I have a real Space Waves tattoo.
Yeah, right there.
Hey.
Amazing. I really like the story. Really came through. That's the biggest thing.
Tiffany set up and planned this whole event. So give it up.